डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन युनिव्हर्सिटी.
Namaste. I, Dr. Janma Vasavda, from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University's Jyotirmay Parisar Chaitanya Studio, welcome you all in the series of drama, paper number ENGM-309, the study of drama. Dear students, let me remind you that we have been completing over a lecture of series. We have completed form of drama, types of drama, and the characteristics, and according to age, the development of drama and its overall impact. Today, we are on the verge of completing absurd theatre. We have covered Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett, and we have seen the character sketch, how absurd theatre developed, what are the influences on absurd theatre, and what are the other ways where absurd theatre came into existence and its development and its formation. We have discussed life of Samuel Beckett and his other works too. So today we are going to go ahead with other absurdist playwrights and some critics who already contributed in the arena or field of absurd theatre. So let's begin. The theatre of absurd is the post-World War II phenomenon, and it is loosely applied to European playwrights of the late 1950s. This style of the theatre evolved from their plays resulted into decline of faith in religion, nationalism, political ideologies, and further loss of faith, and the existential crisis was constantly seen. The term was first introduced by Martin Esselin in 1960 as the theatre of absurd. The mood and the absurdity were placed as early as 1896 by Ubu the King, and then it was afterwards coined as a term. So first the experimentation came up, and after a certain time period, it was then termed as absurd theatre. Today we are not only discussing absurd theatre or Waiting for Godot, but other than Waiting for Godot and Samuel Beckett, we are going to discuss all those who have contributed in the field of theatre of absurd. First comes up Alfred Jarry, who used this experimentation in Ubu Roy. He is a famous French writer, and he has the distinction of coining the term pataphysics. As a student, by now you have seen metaphysics, but it is pataphysics, which means using absurd irony to portray symbolic truths. Which means it is not only deep philosophical thought process, but it is also presented in terms of irony, and symbolically it is portrayed, right? He wrote novels, poems, short plays, opera, essays, and journalism too. His texts are considered examples of absurdist literature and postmodern philosophy. This entire session, which I am going to conduct today, is going to be very enriching and very rich in knowledge for all those who are willing to study major writers in brief for NET or SET examination. And on top of it, in your paper, these people are part of your questions and answers too. So it might not be that entertaining but it is going to be definitely informative. Let's move further with Albert Camus. He is a man who is multifaceted, born in Algeria and then migrated to France. You must pay attention to their nationality or their origin too, because their nation's influence of World War I and II is going to be creating major impact. Their migration, their journey, their life is going to create a major impact. Albert was a philosopher, author, and a journalist. More or less, you'll find him more logical and explanatory in his own way, right? Very famous work of his is Myth of Sisyphus and Rebel. His word appears to be absolutely pessimistic, meaningless, as there is a lack of absolute. There is no absolute idea, or there is no finishing of anything. He questions human conditions, discusses the world as an absurd place. And he further published a lot of works. Let me tell you that in this presentation, I have added only a few works for which these people are known for. There are ample of other works which every writer has written and contributed in the history of English language or literature. But it is not possible for me to list it down over here. So I would suggest that after you complete this study, you just refer to these people if you want to check out other names too. He questions human conditions and discusses the world as an absurd place. He cannot see any reconciliation between the existence of God and the existence of unwanted suffering. He thinks that if God is there and we human beings are the kids of God, so God would not like his kids to suffer. And because he lets the human beings or kids suffer, so he does not exist. So very existence of the God is denied. Okay, so he sees that there is no reconciliation or interrelation in between, and in short, the reason cannot comprehend how God can exist in face of such evil, when the world is so getting into that level where devilish ideology or evil factors are growing up. There are a lot of crime and issues going on. So he thinks that in such evil scenario, God cannot exist. Existential crises are actually in the bottom line of all the absurdist playwrights or writers. You will be seeing existentialism and absurdist theater going on hand in hand, right? So even with Arthur Adamov, he had huge influence of Antoine, and along with Samuel Beckett, Eugene Ionesco, he actually wrote a lot of historic, or he had that sensibility while he was writing, but it was not on surface, seen on surface. Arthur Adamov was a Russian, studied in Geneva and France, so he also belonged to France. If you see, a lot of writers in this entire list is from France too. So you'll have to find that accommodation in between, or you'll have to find that correlation in between. Arthur Adamov, along with Samuel Beckett, Eugene Ionesco, made efforts to create art of the theater appealing historic and sensibility. This is all what said by Carlos Jr. His first play, La Parodie, was produced in June at the theatre of Lancret. This play, why am I mentioning this and not anything else? This play has a prologue followed by 12 rapid scenes, where The sounds and sights like whistles, roar of motor cars passing by, distress. The signs of distress is seen very clearly. They all represent disorder in the society. However, in the backdrop of all this, one comes across a variety of characters who appears to be grotesque, naive, absurd, living in mechanical rigidity in bearing, actions, and speech. You think that what nonsense is this, or why such distress is going on? The play has almost no story, as other absurd writers has also done. He also did the same. So as you can see, there is almost no stories, but yet without seeing one another, without meeting one another, they speak, but language remains unclear. It is not getting up clearly, right? Then Bertolt Brecht. He was a German theater practitioner, playwright, and poet, also famous for epic theater. You will have to remember which author or playwright is associated with what. There are chances that not everybody is going to be associated with only one. He had Marxist ideology, and later, because he converted into Marxist person, he then had that idea. Realistic characters you can see in front. Then it comes Edward Albee, American playwright who has won Pulitzer Prize. His plays propound in an idea that life is very bad. As I was just preparing this, I came across this idea that these people are not seeing any silver lining of the gray cloud. Their focus is more on gray cloud, that is the gray side of the life, which means they consistently feel that life is meaningless, isolated, lonely, we do not know what to do, or it is not worth living, or it is so bad, right? So that profoundness of the negativity can be seen. His plays profound an idea that life is very bad and people are trustworthy. They cannot be trusted. Themes of isolation, loneliness, miscommunication as anthemization, social disparity, and dehumanization in a materialistic world. We can understand that there are a lot of people who have seen more than they deserve, or who have seen more counterparts of life. It cannot be always a happy place for everyone, but to keep up the positives, I think, is going to be a more important and individual life choices that you can make. But in his case, it wasn't the case. He focused more on the pessimistic side. One of the most outstanding features of his play is rich use of language, and this is contradictory. Why? Because most of the writers, particularly absurd writers, we have seen that they do not have clear language, or even if they have clear language, they will not be using it in a way that makes sense, and the language of the play will be very much messy, repetitive, or infinitely in circular motion. You think that, okay, we have seen this or we have heard this, but this man, Albert Albee, he used language in really a rich way. Then Eugene Ionesco. This man was major contributor along with Samuel Beckett. He was a Romanian and French playwright. His plays depict solitude and insignificance of human existence. Again and again, human existence is questioned. This is the essential quality of these modernist dramatists. Okay? Ionesco can be considered a traditional playwright as he also used farce and satire. His style was considered often as anti-play because they express feelings of alienation and impossibility of futility of communication. It is impossible that you'll be able to communicate with such person or such character in a proper way, right? Then Eugene O'Neill. He was an American playwright who was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. He is one of the first to introduce techniques of realism propounded by Anton Chekhov and Henrik Ibsen. These are the people who are influenced by them. And other than that, Anton Chekhov was a short story writer and he adopted his style. So you see the correlation between these people, right? And he is often considered as the founder of modern American theater as well as serious American drama. With this, dear learners, we will continue with other critics and writers or playwrights in next class. Till then, take care. Happy learning.
स्वाध्यायः परमः